Hello, I'm back for my chapter 2 review analysis for the book Absalom by William Faulkner. And in chapter 2, we get a better understanding of Mr. Sutpen. It's pretty much similar of what we've already learned through Miss Coldfield from chapter 1, but this time it is told by Quentin's father, Mr. Compson, I believe his name is. Yes. And so you can see the contrast in how Sutpen is described. I think in chapter 1 you felt more of the emotions of Miss Coldfield more, and her stance and her opinions towards Sutpen, even though she briefly describes him throughout and pretty much covers everything that Mr. Compson goes into further detail in chapter 2. But in chapter 2, the way Mr. Compson describes Sutpen is more detailed and specific in regards to Sutpen's character. So we see how, when, and what he looked like when he comes to town for the first time. He always wore the same thing, and the townspeople don't even realize it at first, but starts to notice that he is always wearing the same thing. He didn't have anything when he came to the town, so he came with very little, except with the group of slaves and the French architect and the horse and I believe 2 pistols or something like that. But he always wore the same clothes. And so yeah, he became the talk of the town, this mystery man, this stranger, foreigner entering their town. And then he goes right to work in building this house, and it's all a mystery on how he can afford it. Supposedly he had only 1 Spanish coin to pay for it, and the rest perhaps was a loan from Miss Coldfield's father, I think. And yeah, so I think he builds the house in 2 years in such a hurry, and then suddenly he just chills out for like 3 years and starts gambling and drinking and hunting and having fight clubs, and gets to know the men of the town. I think the word was like masculine solitude, and he finally starts drinking as well, but it's always in a calculated manner. So he was very meticulous, strategic. Like, he seemed to have something going on, that he wasn't completely let loose like everyone else. There was more behind him that no one could really know. And then suddenly, and he goes to the church, and everybody's starting to think that he's looking for a wife to complete his plantation. And they are surprised at who he chose from the church, which is, well, he approaches Mr. Coldfield, Miss Coldfield's father, who is a Methodist steward, I believe. He's the man of the church, very different from Sapin. Nobody would have guessed that he would choose this family to marry into or marry with. And yeah, he's just very different from Sapin. And then he suddenly disappears and comes back with brand new clothes and furniture, I think, and a new hat and a bouquet of flowers. And everybody's watching him. Everybody follows him as he walks towards the Coldfield home. And he enters, and he's in there for a while, and he comes back without the flowers, and it's official that Sapin is engaged to Mr. Coldfield's daughter, Miss Coldfield's sister, Ellen. I think that was her name. And yeah, so he goes viral in his town for this. Everybody's there watching. I'm not too sure what their opinions are, but he gets arrested after he makes the proposal. I'm not really exactly sure why, but some people are suspecting he stole all the new clothes and furniture he's suddenly appeared with when he left town. I'm not sure if that's exactly the reason why he gets arrested, but Quentin's grandfather and Mr. Coldfield, Miss Coldfield's father, bails him out, and I get the tone that has made an impact on Sapin. I can't really pinpoint whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. I mean, obviously he is a bad guy according to Miss Coldfield, but in this chapter you kind of get an understanding of and the different tone that Mr. What's his name? Quentin's dad describes Sapin as. So yeah, it's kind of confusing whether he's the bad guy or whatever at this point. But it is pretty obvious, I guess, that he is. And then we get into the wedding situation where the aunt wants the big wedding. I wasn't sure whether Ellen, that's her name, right? Ellen wants a big wedding or not. She's crying on her wedding day, and I think people are not happy with him, so they didn't have enough guests for the rehearsal, I think, and it makes Ellen cry. And then the aunt of Ellen goes out kind of like threatening people to come to the wedding, and so I think they get a few audiences or guests for the wedding, but they get like dirt thrown at them at the end instead of like ceremonial rice or whatever. I don't know if that was the tradition for them back then too, but so I'm getting that it's a bit of a disaster in the end. And yeah, that's pretty much what I got from chapter 2. It felt a little more easier to read once I got into the flow of things. So I will continue with chapter 3. Thank you.